And hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Minding Your Business podcast. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. So glad you all could be with us for today's episode. Can you believe it is already episode number 4 of the Minding Your Business podcast? We're going through this first season, actually based on my book by the same name, Minding Your Business. You all can see it there. So I want to welcome those of you who are tuning in on the Amazon Live side. Also, those who are listening through your favorite podcast. Glad you all could join us as well. Also, for a viewing audience, too, thank you so much for being with us. I hope you all have been enjoying the Minding Your Business podcast so far. When I first came up with the idea, hello, Melissa Banks. Good to be able to see you over on Facebook. When I first came up with the idea for the Minding Your Business brand, it was all about being able to help you and being able to build your business both online and offline, being able to take what were the keys that I've been able to use for myself and be able to show you can be able to apply them in your own journey as well. And the great thing about us doing the podcast live, of course, our replay audience can also benefit, but those who are joining us live can be able to get their questions and comments addressed directly, which is already fun for me as an aspect of this brand as well. So let's get into today's episode. This is episode number 4, based on chapter 3 or key number 3 from my book, Minding Your Business, Know Your Audience. Now, if you remember last week in our episode, it was Know Your Why, which was key number 2. The very first key was an important one, know yourself. So as you can see, these are all building on each other. Once you're able to know yourself, you're able to be able to know who you are, what you want. Then, of course, you can go into what is your why. Why are you doing what it is that you're doing? Are you being clear and intentional about what you're doing? That's what we addressed last week. But this one is knowing your audience. And this is an important one. And as you can see as I read the chapter, hopefully you can be able to listen to this, read this, and think to myself, where do I fall in this category? So again, episode 4 is key number 3 in my book, Know Your Audience. This key is going to be challenging for some, but once you have determined your why, it is most essential. One of the problems that I see is that individuals try to be all things to all people. Though it seems like a good idea, it's not something that is sustainable when it comes to building your business and establishing your brand. We must know who we serve and who is going to resonate with what we have to offer. If we don't take this important step, we will be meandering around blindly, jumping from thing to thing, trying to find something that sticks. 2 great examples of individuals who have learned who they serve and stay focused on that are Robert Ham, the creator of the All Sports Headgear, and Dr. Velma Bagby, the best-selling author of the Catch series. For Robert, the idea for All Sports came from a need that he saw, first with athletes to wipe the sweat from their face, as well as to give them a way to keep themselves cool. He has, in the process, tailored the brand so that it can fit individuals of all ages and walks of life, making it fashionable, functional, and something that stands out. The same can be said about Dr. Velma. Her Catch series was different from her previous books, and she knew exactly the audience she wanted to reach with them. During her research, having conversations with her family and women that she met allowed her to craft books that speak to the heart and opened up dialogue about relationships and marriage, exactly what she wanted to achieve. Think about what you have to offer, and then think about who needs it. As I mentioned, for me, it was giving a platform to those without a voice. That means I was not at the time going after those with recognizable names and businesses. If I had, I would not only have been going against my why, I would have been shutting the door on those I hoped to serve. Again, it might seem like a great idea to go wide from the very beginning. But if we want to be effective, we will identify those we know need what we have to offer and give them our attention. So let's talk about this, because audience is such a big deal. And as I mentioned in my 2 examples, are 2 individuals that I've been able to work with, Robert Ham of All Sports Headgear, as well as Dr. Velma Bagby. Hello to you, Catherine. Good to be able to see you over on the IG side. So when you're talking about your audience and your business, it's so important to realize after you know what your why is, what your goal and target is, who needs what you have to offer. When we look at Robert Ham and the All Sports Headgear, he knew exactly who his target audience was. It came from an idea of seeing athletes taking a towel and wiping their face while they were playing a game. He then was able to create a headgear that allowed them to be fashionable, but also functional as well. And now he's been able to expand that out to everyday individuals. I use mine when I'm out traveling, a great way to be able to keep warm. But also, of course, it can be able to be used as a fashion statement as well. During the time that we're in now, with spring and summer, Robert's been able to show you how you can put a cooling pack. It's very functional. A cooling pack inside of your all sports headgear to keep your neck cool as well. So he's been able to really know who his audience is, those who are outdoors, those who are looking for a way to stay dry and cool, and he's been able to create something that meets that need. The same thing is very true for Dr. Velma Bagby. As I mentioned, with her Catch series that's been the bestsellers, she knew exactly the audience that she wanted to do. Well, how did she do that? She was able to do the research. She had conversations with her family and other women. She knew the conversations that were happening about relationships and marriage, and she was able to tailor her series to be able to fit those, and that's why she's been able to be a bestseller. So ask yourself, regardless of what your business or brand is, how true is it to your why, what you say you want to do? As I mentioned in this chapter in the book, and it really is the core of this particular episode, we cannot be all things to all people all at once. It is not possible. You have to be able to tailor what you're doing, who you're trying to focus on, and be successful in that. As I mentioned, as my radio show is getting ready to celebrate 21 years, it has grown from what my initial vision was from 2003, but I still am able to reach my core audience. That has not changed for me. I have been able to expand my reach in that, but my core audience has still been the same. So ask yourself, once you came up with your idea, how much work have you done to make sure that idea is actually being able to connect with those who you believe are your audience? We'll get more into it as we go throughout this season. We'll get more into where you find those people, because again, this is not just online, we're talking offline as well. But for yourself, maybe that is where the disconnect is. Maybe what your why is, maybe you're not translating that well to the people you want to be able to connect with. And that's why you're not seeing the results that you want. Both for Robert and Dr. Velma, they knew very clearly what their why was, what their goal was, and who they wanted to target. Then it was up to them to make sure they were connecting with that group of people. The same is true for us. For myself in the beginning, people were not beating down my door. Hey, Manswell, good to be able to see you over on the IG side. People were not beating down my door in the very beginning. I had to go out there and find those who I wanted to provide a platform for. Now, things have changed today, but for all of us, it all begins with making that identifying decision as to who is my audience for what it is I have to offer. And don't make the mistake that some people make and say, well, my audience is everybody, because that is a clear way to not reach your goal and see your vision being realized. Because as I mentioned, you cannot serve everyone at the same time and not do it effectively. It just can't be done. You have to be very clear as to who you're trying to reach at the moment and what you're going to be able to do to connect to those people. And if you're able to do that, that will be able to let you use this key effectively, because the audience is going to be a very big part. We're going to talk about later that your audience also are not necessarily those who are going to purchase what you have to offer. So that's also the case. I tell people all the time, not everyone that we kind of bring into our spaces, both online and offline, are customers. Some of them are cheerleaders, which we need those too. Hey, Rhonda, good to be able to see you. Some of them are cheerleaders. Some of those will help spread the word. How many times have you had someone that follows you online and maybe that you've connected with and say, hey, I don't personally need what you have to offer, but I know somebody, or I want to share this with my network. Those are all important too. So you want to make sure too that you're not discounting people just because you may not see them as a customer. Does not mean they're not valuable to your brand, because we all know word of mouth is so important. One book that has definitely helped me in my business over the past decade is a book called Anatomy of Buzz by Manuel Rosen. That book is so powerful because it talks about the importance of word of mouth marketing and how we all could kind of build our own little clusters, is what he calls them. That can be able to help us to be able to spread the word about what we're doing and to help us in reaching our goals. So again, when it comes to this particular episode, it is all about identifying your audience. And only you can do that based on the way that you're able to present what you do. Manswell says, I get a ton of new readers from non-readers. Yeah, that's the way it goes. A lot of times people may not necessarily doesn't mean they don't see the value in it. It just may not be for them, but they may tell other people about it, and that may be exactly the person you need to connect with. So that is what this key is all about, making sure that you're able to recognize your audience, know who they are, but make sure that you're being very clear. It's on you to make sure you're being clear as to how you connect with them. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Minding Your Business. It is based on my book by the same name. For those of you who are tuning in on Amazon, you will see the paperback and Kindle edition of the book there. For those who are joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, you'll see the link there. For those on X and IG, I'll make sure that we post it afterwards as well. Make sure you guys do stay connected with us as we go throughout the keys in the system, in the 12 keys that will help you in growing your business and brand both online and offline. That is what we're here for this season. Next season, we're going to be opening the doors and actually having business owners come on and sharing their own stories, which I'm excited about as well. Until next time, thank you all so much for being with us, helping you guys to be able to mind your business while we're minding our business as well. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.